In the clerk's office, the three largest expenditure items are the employee salaries, the fringe benefits, and then, of course, my postage account. And I know that I have requested a salary adjustment for my employees of 5%. And I realize that may sound excessive. However, I just feel that I have got several employees that have been on staff for between 5 to 8 years, and they have much more experience than a lot of other departments are hiring people in right now. And I made some calls and did some checking, and I understand that the recorder starts their people at $25,000, and the Camp Municipal Court starts their clerks at $26,000. I don't have any of those people that have been here anywhere from 5 to 8 years making $26,000. And my staff, they are very valuable employees with much experience, and they are responsible for correctly processing felonies, cases, murder cases, rapes, felonious assaults, as well as $1 million medical malpractice cases, foreclosure cases, wrongful death, as opposed, and I don't mean to belittle the Camp Municipal Court in any way, but their caseload are misdemeanor traffic, criminal, and foreclosures, it's not going to come to me, landlord-tenant disputes and collection cases. What we do, in my opinion, is more high profile and very tedious. We can't release somebody from, we don't want to release somebody from prison that's not supposed to be released, and we don't want to commit someone that isn't supposed to be. And I just feel that our staff, over the 18 months that we were enduring the furloughs, we went down 10 employees in the legal division. They were working less hours. They were still getting the job done. And I think that they worked in a fairly stressful environment. And I've also had many people leave, going to other county departments. This year I lost 2 people, one to the court, one to the prosecutor. And I just need to be able to pay my people to keep them here. And I think what they do, they need to have knowledge of the legal terminology. They need to learn how to process these documents. And oftentimes I get them, I train them, and they're a wonderful employee, and somebody will come along and snatch them up because they can pay them more than I can pay them. And so that's why I'm requesting to give them a 5% increase. I think they deserve it. They've worked in strenuous conditions. And in fact, I had an employee in the criminal division who was off on sick leave for 6 weeks. And prior to that, one of the gals that's over there was going to leave. She got a better job offer, and I upped her salary to keep her because I didn't want to lose her. She did the same amount of work that an employee does that's there 22 years. She was there for 8-9 years, and she does a marvelous job, and I wasn't going to lose her.
So, where was she potentially?
Well, actually, she was not going to go to another county department. She was going to go to a public entity somewhere.
I'm sorry?
She was going to go to a public entity somewhere. But she was not going to another county department. But I couldn't lose her. I couldn't afford to lose her at that point. And I don't want to lose her because she's a very good employee. And so it just makes it difficult to keep these people when you can't pay them. And
Why does everybody get I mean, essentially what you're doing is giving everybody a blanket 5% pay raise as opposed to singling out people that may be critical based upon years in service or job duties or things of that sort and so forth.
Well, mainly because of the fact that they've all been through the furloughs. And even at a 5% increase, they don't even make, I had some numbers here, but they're still making far less than some of the other departments are. I understand that the Board of Elections is going to post something where they're going to start people out at 32. This is a rumor. I don't know that this is fact, but that's what I heard. I don't have that many people that are making 30.
We can put that rumor to bed.
So Nancy, you're asking for the 5% then on top of what you gave last year, which really you only gave 6 people 2% pay raises last year, and everybody else got 3% up to 41.6. Now that must be somebody that.
I was going to say, who was
Eric
Heiser.
Eric was promoted. He was a deputy clerk in our Massillon title office, and he was promoted to supervisor in our North Kent office.
And then you have, 4 people that got double-digit raises, then some 6%, 4%, and then you got a whole slew that got 3%. I guess my point is, and just so you know, we've had this discussion with everybody that's come in. We are only funding at 2%. So how are you paying these people in your salary account a higher salary when we're only funding at the 2% increase? Are you taking it out of other funds?
Well, in some cases I am, but I mean, this year, well, that, I will have to look at that. I mean, I don't know that I can give the 5%, obviously. I'm asking for funds to pay the 5%. If I don't get it, then it's gonna be a whole different story. I'm gonna obviously have to revisit it, and they haven't gotten the increase. I never give my people an increase until you give me my final budget.
Where'd you get the money last year? Because we only
Last year-
budgeted for 2%.
Well, apparently, I think I paid 2 people out of special projects,
Okay.
and the rest of them, I had probably transferred money from 64 from my services account and that type of thing. I mean, I moved money around to make ends meet, and in fact, I gave you 28 back this year, I believe. So I'm always giving you money back, so I'm not frivolously spending the money.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm very, very conscientious about the money. And as I said, from what I looked at from the auditor's side, it looked like 28,000 or so went back. And, you know, I've given back as much as 40,000 in my budget. So I don't waste it. I'm very conscientious about what I spend. So, I mean, obviously, if you don't give me that 5%, then yes, I'm going to have to look at other things. Or they're not going to get 5%, so all I can do is try.
Well, last year, and again, we've already discussed this previous to your comment, by the way, there apparently were no controls on budget transfers into the salary accounts. This year, there are going to be controls on that. Because again, we believe that we are asking, and we want, you know, our elected officials and our department heads to live within the, you know, the appropriations that we are making. We make them based upon, you know, what we believe to be, you know, number one, it's our obligation, and we are the appropriating authority, but we take a look at this thing and we understand that, you know, each and every official that's come into us has indicated to us that they believe that their employees, you know, are underpaid and or do a lot of work and so forth, and we don't dispute that set of facts. What we are concerned with, though, is the appearance, you know, to the public that pays all of our bills, and they pay them either whether they're paying it into special funds through court costs and so forth, which we don't appropriate, and you can spend that money as you wish, but into the general fund or into the justice sales tax fund. We believe that we have to put respective limits on that on an annual basis. Otherwise, when we face the issue of the sales tax renewal, for example, in another 7 years, you're all going to be, you know, in the same kind of a boat that we've been in the past and so forth. And that is you know, the binge spending when we have money versus being fiscally conservative, you know, over the course of the 7 or 8 years. And that is what at least this board is attempting to do. So, you know, we're going to make decisions, you know, with regard to everybody's budget. We're going to try to make consistent decisions with it. We did ask, you know, part of the budgetary process was whether or not you had any individuals that you thought, you know, merited something greater than the 2%. I guess the answer is that everybody that deserves 5% probably is not exactly responsive to that kind of a request.
True.
Last year's numbers were not responsive to what we, you know, appropriated to you. And, you know, and we may make adjustments to your budget this year based upon what happened last year as well, and we have discussed that. We're contemplating that too. And it's just, I know this difficult issue for the elected officials to you know, accept. I mean, I think that as well as the other department heads and so forth, but we feel that that is what our obligation is with regard to this. So we're going to obviously take everything under, you know, discussion when we see all of the budget hearings and put everything back together and so forth. But I think we can pretty well anticipate that we will not be appropriating at 5%. We'll probably be appropriating at 2% for 2014. And we may make adjustments to the 2014 appropriation based upon the fact that you gave 3% raises as opposed to 2% raises. That is our job, and I guess we just have to look you in the eye and tell you that that's what we think our job is. course, to the extent that you have other funds from other sources and are able to, supplement the 2% that we give you, again, we don't control the other special funds, and indicate that that is within your discretion as an elected official, subject to your answering, again, to the media and to any other public scrutiny as to whether or not, governmental employees are not paid enough, paid, the right amount, or paid too much when you add in benefits and everything else. That's the perspective, though, that we are working from.
Well, as they say, if you don't ask, you can't get. So I figured, why not ask?